The morning sun cast long shadows across James Miller's workshop as he watched his daughter Emma working on an old military radio. Her small hands moved with surprising skill for a 15-year-old, connecting wires and adjusting circuits with natural ease. He couldn't help but smile, remembering how she had inherited his love for fixing things. "Dad, I think I got it working." Emma's eyes lit up as static crackled through the speaker. Between the sound of white noise, faint voices could be heard. Other survivors, no doubt, sharing whatever information they could about the collectors. Living in their remote mountain town had been both a blessing and a curse since the aliens arrived 5 years ago. The collectors, as humans called them, had appeared without warning. Their massive ships had darkened the skies over every major city, and within days, Earth's military forces lay in ruins. They weren't interested in complete destruction, though. They'd wanted something else. Humans. James walked over to examine Emma's work. "Good job, kiddo. Just be careful about broadcasting. We don't want to draw attention." He picked up a piece of alien metal from his workbench. Debris from a crashed collector drone he'd found last month. Even after years of studying their technology, most of it remained a mystery. Their workshop was hidden inside an old military bunker, one of many secrets from James's past life as a military engineer. The walls were lined with salvaged equipment, tools, and half-finished projects. It wasn't much, but it was home, and more importantly, it was safe. Or so he thought. The warning sirens started just after noon. Harvest ships detected. The automated voice echoed through the town's warning system. All citizens proceed to designated shelters. James's heart stopped. The collectors weren't due for another 3 months. Something was wrong. "Emma, get to the hidden room. Now." But Emma stood frozen at the workshop window, staring at the sky. 3 collector ships, smaller than their massive city-sized vessels, but still larger than any human aircraft, descended through the clouds. Their dark metal shells seemed to absorb the sunlight, creating an unnatural darkness. "They're moving differently this time," Emma whispered. "Look at their flight pattern." She was right. Instead of their usual sweep across the town, the ships were moving with purpose, heading directly toward their sector. James grabbed Emma's hand and pulled her toward the hidden room entrance. They had barely made it halfway when the workshop's metal roof groaned and peeled away like paper. Bright, pale light flooded the room, and James felt the familiar paralyzing effect of collector containment fields. No. He fought against the invisible force holding him in place, watching helplessly as 3 collector drones descended into the workshop. Unlike their usual harvest robots, these were different, sleeker, more advanced. They moved directly to Emma, ignoring him completely. One of the drones scanned her with a beam of blue light. "Subject matches search parameters," it announced in its artificial voice. "High cognitive capacity. Technical aptitude. Genetic markers indicate enhanced learning capability." "Dad!" Emma screamed as the drones lifted her toward their ship. James strained against the containment field until his muscles burned. "Emma, fight them. I'll find you. I promise I'll find you." The last thing he saw was Emma's face, tears streaming down her cheeks as the drones carried her into their ship. The containment field held him in place until the ships disappeared into the clouds, taking his daughter and his heart with them. When the field finally released him, James collapsed to his knees among the scattered tools and broken equipment. Around him, he could hear the cries of other families who had lost loved ones in the targeted harvest. But he didn't weep. Instead, he felt something crystallize inside him. A cold, hard purpose. The collectors had made a mistake. They hadn't just taken another human. They'd taken an engineer's daughter, and they'd left him with a workshop full of their technology to study. James picked up the alien metal he'd been examining earlier, seeing it with new eyes. "I'm coming for you, Emma," he whispered. "And they're going to regret ever setting foot on our planet." 3 days after Emma's capture, James hadn't slept. Dark circles lined his eyes as he moved through the lower levels of his military bunker, checking every corner, every hidden panel. He knew there had to be something. A weapon, a tool, anything that could help him fight back. The bunker went deeper than most people knew. In his old military days, this had been more than just a storage facility. It was a research station, though most of the important equipment had been moved out years before the invasion. There has to be something left, he muttered, running his hands along the cold metal walls. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing years of dust and cobwebs. The air grew colder as he descended to the lowest level, one he hadn't visited in years. That's when his light caught something odd. A slight color difference in one wall panel. James moved closer, examining the edges. Yes, there was definitely a seam there, hidden under years of dust. His heart began to beat faster as memories surfaced. There had been a secret room, a special project. He pressed against the panel in different spots until he heard a click. The wall slid open with a grinding sound, revealing a chamber he had completely forgotten about. As he stepped inside, motion sensors detected his presence, and dim emergency lights flickered to life. In the center of the room stood something that made his breath catch. A suit of armor unlike anything currently used by Earth's remaining military forces. It was his project, the one they had shut down for being too dangerous. Project Guardian. The armor stood 7 feet tall, its dark metal surface covered in a web-like pattern of neural sensors. Unlike the bulky power armor that had failed against the Collectors, this suit was sleek, almost organic in its design. James approached it slowly, memories flooding back. They said the neural interface was too risky, he whispered, touching the cold metal. That it would require too much from the operator, that it could burn out a human mind. But that had been the whole point. The suit wasn't just armor. It was designed to learn, to grow, to adapt. It formed a direct connection with its operator's brain, using their experience and instincts to evolve its capabilities. The project had been shut down because the military wanted weapons they could mass produce, not something that required such a deep human connection. James looked at the computer terminal next to the suit. To his surprise, the backup power was still working. He typed in his old access codes, and the screen came to life, displaying the project details. Project Guardian status report. Neural interface. Stable. Power core. 89% capacity. Combat systems. Dormant. AI learning matrix. Active. His hand shook as he read through the data. The suit had been in standby mode all these years, its systems maintaining minimal functions. It wasn't just surviving. According to the readings, it had been dreaming, running combat scenarios through its AI matrix, learning and evolving even in its dormant state. This could work, James said, his voice stronger now. This could actually work. He knew the risks. The neural interface had driven test subjects mad in the early trials. It required someone with both technical knowledge and military experience, someone who understood both the machine and combat aspects. Someone exactly like him. James started the activation sequence. The suit's surface rippled as its systems came fully online. The neural web began to glow with a faint blue light, and the chest plate opened like a blooming flower, revealing the interface chamber within. Warning, the computer announced. Neural interface procedure may result in permanent psychological damage or death. Do you wish to proceed? James thought of Emma's face as she was taken, of her tears and her screams. He thought of all the other families torn apart by the Collectors, of humanity living in fear of the next harvest. Yes, he said firmly, stepping toward the open suit. I wish to proceed. As the armor closed around him, and the neural probes prepared to link with his mind, James felt no fear. The Collectors had taken everything from him, but they'd left him with something they couldn't understand: a father's love and determination. The neural interface activated, and James's world exploded into light and pain. The transformation had begun. Pain ripped through James's body as the neural interface connected. It felt like thousands of needles piercing his brain all at once. His screams echoed through the empty bunker, but there was no one left to hear them. Neural sync initiating. The computer's calm voice announced. Warning, high stress levels detected. Inside the armor, James felt like his mind was being torn apart and rebuilt. Memories flashed before his eyes. His military training, every fight he'd ever been in, weapons he'd used, battles he'd fought. The suit was absorbing it all, learning, adapting. Please, he gasped. I have to stay conscious. The pain suddenly changed. It wasn't just taking anymore. The suit was giving back. Information flooded his mind. Combat protocols, movement patterns, weapon systems. James saw them all, understood them instantly. The suit wasn't just a tool. It was becoming part of him. Neural sync at 50%, the computer reported. Subject vital signs stabilizing. James felt his breathing steady. The pain was still there, but different now. More like a burning pressure than the sharp agony of before. He tried moving his arm, and the suit responded perfectly. No delay, no resistance. It felt natural, like an extension of his own body. Remarkable. A new voice said, not the computer, but not quite human either. It was coming from the suit itself. Most subjects lost consciousness by 30% sync. Your mind is compatible. You're alive. James managed to ask through gritted teeth. I am an advanced combat eye, the voice replied. But your neural patterns are changing me. I am becoming more. You may call me guardian. The pain peaked again as the final connections formed. James saw combat scenarios playing out in his mind, not memories, but simulations. The suit was showing him what it had learned during its years of dormancy, and now it was combining that knowledge with his real-world experience. Neural sync complete, the computer announced. Final sync level, 95%, exceeding all previous records. James opened his eyes. The world looked different now. He could see energy patterns, structural weaknesses, tactical data overlaid on everything he looked at. When he moved, the suit moved with him perfectly, its weight barely noticeable. Guardian, he said, his voice stronger now. Can you access collector technology? Affirmative. The AI responded. Their systems are complex, but not incomprehensible. Your knowledge of their salvage tech is useful. I am already developing countermeasures. James walked to a broken piece of mirror on the wall. The figure that looked back at him was both familiar and alien. The suit's dark metal surface shifted slightly with each movement, its neural web glowing with a soft blue light. He stood taller now, stronger, but the suit hadn't turned him into a hulking monster. Instead, it looked almost elegant, its design focused on efficiency and adaptability rather than brute force. A sound from above caught his attention. His enhanced hearing picked up voices. Members of the local resistance, probably looking for him after his 3-day disappearance. James, are you down there? It was Mark, one of the resistance leaders. We heard screams. I'm here, James called back. Come down. There's something you need to see. He heard their footsteps on the metal stairs, then gasps as they entered the room. 3 resistance fighters stood frozen, staring at him with a mixture of fear and awe. What is that? Mark asked, his hand instinctively moving toward his weapon. This is how we fight back, James replied. Through the suit's sensors, he could see their heart rates, their stress levels. They were afraid, but also hopeful. The collectors think they know everything about human technology. They're wrong. He demonstrated by moving across the room faster than human eyes could follow, then lifting a 1,000-pound piece of equipment with one hand. The suit wasn't just giving him strength. It was giving him precision, control, understanding. I'm going after my daughter, James announced, and anyone who wants to help me take down the collectors is welcome to join. This suit isn't just a weapon. It's proof that human technology, combined with human will, can beat them. Mark stepped forward, a slow smile spreading across his face. When do we start? James's answer was simple. Now, the collector processing facility stood like a dark mountain against the night sky. Its twisted metal towers reached up into the clouds, pulsing with strange alien energy. 2 weeks had passed since James merged with the Guardian suit, and now he was ready to make his move. Scanning facility defenses, Guardian's voice echoed in James's mind, detecting 23 guard drones and 4 security towers. Their energy weapons are similar to those we studied from the salvaged parts. James watched from his hiding spot in the forest. Through the suit's enhanced vision, he could see everything. The patrol patterns of the drones, the weak points in the facility's structure, even the energy flowing through their systems. "Can you hack their security?" James asked silently, knowing the suit would pick up his thoughts. "Negative, but I can predict their responses. When we move, we'll have exactly 2.3 minutes before they adapt to our presence." That would have to be enough. James took a deep breath and activated the suit's stealth systems. The metal surface shifted, taking on the colors and patterns of his surroundings. He wasn't invisible, but in the darkness, he would be nearly impossible to spot. "Mark, are your people in position?" he whispered into his radio. "Ready," came the response. "Resistance teams are set to create distractions on the east and west sides. Just give the signal." James smiled grimly. "Begin in 3, 2, 1. Explosions rocked the facility's outer walls. The resistance fighters had planted charges earlier, and now they detonated them perfectly. Alarms blared as guard drones rushed toward the explosions, leaving gaps in their defense pattern. "Now," James whispered, and began to move. The Guardian suit made him incredibly fast. He crossed the open ground in seconds, moving between shadows faster than human eyes could track. The first drone didn't even detect him before he ripped out its control core. The second and third fell just as quickly. "Alert status changed," Guardian reported. "They're activating their heavy combat units." Larger drones emerged from the facility, their weapons charging with deadly energy. But James was already moving. The suit analyzed their attack patterns and adapted, letting him dodge energy blasts that would have vaporized normal armor. "James, we're picking up incredible readings." Mark's voice crackled over the radio. "Whatever you're doing in that suit, it's working. Their defenses are falling." James didn't respond. He was too focused on the fight. Each movement flowed perfectly into the next as he and Guardian worked as one. When the drones fired, he was already gone. When they tried to predict his movements, he changed patterns instantly. He reached the facility's main entrance. The door was reinforced with alien metal, but Guardian had already analyzed its structure. James punched through at precisely the right point, and the entire door system collapsed. Inside, he found what he was looking for: the facility's control center. Alien computers lined the walls, filled with data about their harvesting operations. As James approached the main terminal, Guardian began interfacing with it. "Caution," Guardian warned. "Security countermeasures detected." But, interesting, their systems are powerful but rigid. They don't adapt well to unexpected situations. "Can you find information about the harvested humans?" James asked, fighting off another wave of security drones. His movements were still perfect, but he could feel the suit drawing more power to maintain their combat efficiency. "Accessing data now," Guardian replied. "Yes, I have locations. The humans are being taken to orbital processing stations before being moved off-world. Emma's tagged profile shows she was transferred to Station 7. James's heart jumped at the mention of his daughter. Where is Station 7? In low Earth orbit, directly above what used to be the Pacific Ocean. But James, the station is heavily defended. Far more than this facility. Doesn't matter, James said, destroying the last security drone. We're going to find a way up there. Suddenly, the facility's lights went dark. Emergency systems kicked in, bathing everything in red light. What's happening? James asked. They're initiating a complete system purge, Guardian explained. They'd rather destroy their own facility than let us gather more intelligence. We need to leave. Now. James grabbed what data he could and ran. Behind him, the facility began to collapse in on itself, its alien metal screaming as it twisted and broke. He burst through the outer wall just as the main explosion began. The resistance fighters watched in awe as he emerged from the flames, the Guardian suit glowing with absorbed energy. Where once they had seen only defeat at the hands of the collectors, now they saw hope. "Did you get what we needed?" Mark asked as James approached. "Yes," James replied, his voice firm with determination. "Now we know where they're taking our people. And more importantly, we know they can be hurt." The underground resistance base buzzed with activity. 1 month after James's attack on the processing facility, what started as a small group had grown into an army. People came from miles around, drawn by stories of the men in the living armor who had struck back against the collectors. James stood at a makeshift command table, surrounded by resistance leaders. The Guardian suit moved like liquid metal around him, its surface occasionally rippling as it processed new information. "The collectors have changed their harvest patterns," he explained, pointing to a map. "They're nervous. For the first time in years, they're afraid." "Good," said Mark, who had become James's right-hand man. "But how do we get to Station 7? We can't exactly walk into space." Guardian's voice joined the conversation, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I've analyzed the collectors' transport ships. They use gravity lift technology to move between ground bases and their stations. We need to capture one." A woman named Lisa, a former pilot, stepped forward. "The collectors have a transport hub 50 miles north. They use it to move supplies. If we could take one of their ships—" "It won't be easy," James warned. "But nothing worth doing is." He turned to the gathered crowd. "I need volunteers. This will be dangerous, but it's our chance to save not just my daughter, but everyone they've taken." Hands rose throughout the room. These weren't the same scared people from a month ago. They had seen what one man in a special suit could do. Now they wanted to fight too. "Guardian," James thought silently, "are you getting any better at interfacing with their tech?" "Yes," the AI responded in his mind. "Each encounter teaches me more. Their systems are complex but follow strict patterns. Human creativity is their weakness. They don't expect the unexpected." James nodded and turned to his new army. "We'll need 3 teams. Lisa, you'll leave the air support group. Anyone with flying experience, you're with her. Mark, take our best fighters and prepare for ground assault. The rest will provide backup and evacuation support." As the groups formed, James felt Guardian processing something. "What is it?" he asked silently. "Your body has fully adapted to our neural link," Guardian replied. "We can now operate at 100% efficiency. But there's something else. The suit is evolving based on your emotions, particularly your drive to save Emma. I have never experienced such focused human determination." James was about to respond when the base's alert system went off. A scout rushed in, out of breath. "Collector patrol incoming. 3 ships, heading this way." Instead of panic, James saw determination in the faces around him. "Everyone to your positions," he ordered. "Lisa, get your people to the hidden aircraft. Mark, defensive positions. This is what we've trained for." The resistance moved with practiced efficiency. In just weeks, James had turned them into a real fighting force. As he stepped outside to face the collector ships, he heard Guardian's systems powering up. "Combat efficiency optimal," Guardian reported. "New capabilities unlocked. Shall we show them something unexpected?" James smiled inside the suit. The collectors thought they knew all about human weapons. They were wrong. With each battle, he and Guardian learned, adapted, and grew stronger. The suit's surface shifted, forming new patterns that could absorb and redirect energy weapons. The first collector ship opened fire. James moved faster than ever before, drawing their attention while resistance fighters moved into position. When the ship's beam hit him, Guardian absorbed the energy and redirected it, slicing through the ship's hull. "How did you do that?" James asked, amazed. "We did it," Guardian corrected. "Your understanding of their weapons combined with my ability to adapt. We are becoming something new. Neither just human, nor just machine." The Resistance fighters cheered as the first ship crashed. The other two ships tried to retreat, but Lisa's air team was already launching their salvage aircraft. This wasn't a raid anymore. It was a battle, and humanity was winning. As James watched his people fight, he thought of Emma. "Hold on," he whispered. "We're coming. And we're bringing an army." The Guardian suit pulsed with power, ready for more. The Collectors had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were hunting sheep, but they had awakened lions instead. The captured Collector transport ship rose through Earth's atmosphere, carrying James and a small team of Resistance fighters. Through the ship's viewing port, the massive bulk of Station 7 grew larger, a dark ring of alien metal orbiting high above the Pacific Ocean. "Station defenses detected," Guardian warned. 36 weapon systems, 12 patrol ships, and heavy shield generators. James stood at the ship's controls, which he could operate thanks to Guardian's growing understanding of Collector technology. "Any sign they suspect this transport isn't one of theirs?" "Negative. Our copied identification codes are working, but they will scan the ship when we dock." Mark checked his weapon, a modified rifle that used salvaged Collector technology. "How long until they realize we're not their usual cargo delivery?" "About 30 seconds after we dock," James replied. "That's when the fun starts." The transport ship approached the station's docking bay. James could feel Guardian analyzing everything. Every defense, every possible entry point. They had one shot at this. Emma was somewhere inside that station, along with hundreds of other captured humans. "Docking sequence initiated," Guardian announced. "James, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the center of the station. They're different from anything we've encountered." Before James could respond, the docking clamps locked onto their ship. Through the suit's enhanced senses, he heard the station's scanning beams activate. "Transport vessel," a mechanical voice commanded. "Prepare for cargo inspection." "Now," James shouted. The Guardian suit surged with power as James burst through the ship's airlock, straight into a group of surprised Collector drones. The suit had evolved far beyond its original capabilities. Now it could absorb and redirect energy weapons, adapt to new threats in seconds, and even interface directly with Collector technology. "Go," he ordered his team. "Find the holding cells. I'll keep them busy." The Resistance fighters moved out while James engaged the station's defenses. Alarms blared as more drones poured in, but they couldn't match his speed and adaptability. Guardian predicted their attacks before they happened, letting James strike exactly where they were weakest. "Alert," Guardian said. "They're activating internal defense systems, but something's interfering with them. The interference is coming from inside the station." James smashed another drone against a wall. "What do you mean?" "The station's systems are being disrupted. Someone inside is fighting back against the Collector's control." A familiar voice came over the station's communication system. "Dad, is that you?" James's heart leaped. "Emma." "I'm in the control center." Emma's voice was strong, confident. "They've been teaching us to work with their technology. Big mistake. I've locked down half the station's systems, but I can't hold them for long." Pride surged through James. Of course, Emma hadn't just sat waiting to be rescued. She'd been fighting back in her own way. "Guardian," James thought. "Can you link with Emma's location?" "Affirmative," marking the fastest route now. James moved through the station like a storm, following Guardian's guidance. Any drones that tried to stop him found themselves facing something they couldn't understand. Human determination enhanced by adaptive technology. He reached the control center to find Emma surrounded by disabled drones and locked security doors. The moment she saw him, her eyes widened. "Dad, that suit, it's beautiful." Her engineer's mind was already analyzing it. "Let's get you out of here," James said, but Emma held up her hand. Wait, I found something in their systems. The collectors, they're scared of us. Humans adapt too quickly, learn too fast. That's why they harvest us. They're trying to study how we think. Guardian's systems hummed with interest. She's right. The station's data confirms it. The collectors fear human unpredictability. Suddenly, the station shook. Through the control room's window, they saw resistance ships engaging the collector patrols, buying them time. Mark's voice came over the radio. We'd found the other prisoners, but this place is going to blow. Emma's virus is causing their power core to overload. Then let's make it count, Emma said, her fingers flying over the alien controls. I'm downloading everything. Their weaknesses, their plans, their fear of us. The whole galaxy's going to know the collectors aren't so tough after all. James reached for his daughter. Time to go home. Emma took his hand, then paused to make one final command entry. And sent everything I learned about their technology, transmitted to every resistance group on Earth. As they ran for the escape ships, James felt Guardian processing the new information Emma had discovered. The suit seemed almost excited. Together, they had done more than just rescue Emma. They had given humanity the knowledge it needed to fight back. The revolution was about to begin. The resistance base was packed with people watching Emma work. Her fingers flew across a mix of human and collector technology as she combined what she'd learned on Station 7 with her father's Guardian suit data. James stood nearby, the suit's surface rippling with anticipation. The collectors made one huge mistake, Emma explained, pointing to her screens. They're so focused on order and rules that they can't handle creative thinking. That's why they fear us. Humans are unpredictable. And that's why they've been taking our people, James added. They've been trying to understand how we think. Guardian's voice joined in. Emma's data confirms it. The collectors aren't invincible. They're scared. Their entire empire is built on control and prediction. Humanity's adaptability threatens everything they believe in. Emma nodded excitedly. Look at Dad's suit. It learns and changes because it's connected to a human mind. The collectors can't do that. Their technology is powerful, but rigid. They don't understand how to truly adapt. The room fell silent as Emma brought up a global map. Red dots showed collector bases and ships all over Earth. But now, thanks to the data she'd stolen, they could see the weaknesses in every facility. Their shields have a flaw, Emma continued. They repeat patterns every 3 seconds. If we time our attacks just right. She pressed a button, and the Guardian suit absorbed the information instantly. Synchronizing new data, Guardian announced. Combat effectiveness increased by 300%. Emma's insights are remarkable. James smiled proudly. How long until we can share this information with resistance groups worldwide? Already done, Emma grinned. I sent it through the collector's own communication network. Everyone fighting back on Earth now knows their weaknesses. And that's not all. She typed a few more commands, and new information appeared. While I was in their systems, I found out why they really came to Earth. They're not just scared of us. They're scared of what we might become. Humans adapt faster than any species they've ever encountered. They thought if they harvested us slowly, they could control us. Instead, they pushed us to become stronger. As if to prove her point, alarms suddenly blared. But these weren't warning sirens. They were victory signals. Reports started flooding in from around the world. Resistance groups everywhere were launching attacks, using Emma's data to strike at collector weaknesses. Multiple collector facilities under attack, Guardian reported. Their defense patterns are failing. They cannot adapt quickly enough to the simultaneous strikes. Mark burst into the room. James, the collector ships are retreating. It's happening everywhere. They're pulling back to their orbital stations. But Emma was shaking her head. They're not just retreating. They're running. Look, she pointed to her screen, showing collector ships breaking orbit. They never expected the whole planet to fight back at once. Their careful plans are falling apart. James put his hand on Emma's shoulder. What you learned up there, what you discovered about their weaknesses, you've given humanity a chance. We all did it together, Emma replied. Your suit proved humans could adapt their technology. The resistance proved we could fight back. I just found the cracks in their armor. Guardian's voice held a new tone, something almost like pride. The collectors believed they could study and control humanity. Instead, humanity has surpassed them. The student has become the master. Outside, people were celebrating as news spread of collector ships fleeing Earth's orbit. But James and Emma weren't done. They turned to the gathered resistance leaders. The collectors will be back, James warned. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not for years. But they'll return, trying to understand how we beat them. We need to be ready. Emma held up a data drive. I've got their complete technical database. Shield designs, weapon systems, ship blueprints, everything. And more importantly, I know how to improve them. Who's ready to help build humanity's defense force? The room erupted in cheers. Where once there had been fear of the collectors, now there was determination. Humans hadn't just fought back. They had proven themselves stronger than their would-be conquerors. James looked at his daughter with pride as the Guardian suit hummed with new possibilities. The collectors had come to Earth looking for subjects to study. Instead, they had created warriors who would change the galaxy forever. Humanity wasn't just fighting back anymore. They were rising up, ready to take their place among the stars. And this time, they would be the ones making the rules.